They locked a mental patient in a Kentucky hospital and forced him to swallow LSD every single day for 174 days straight. No break, no mercy, just wave after wave of the drug until his mind was left in pieces. That was not a nightmare. That was an official CIA experiment. In the shadow of the Cold War, the agency decided the human mind was fair game. American prisoners of war had come home from Korea repeating communist slogans. Officials panicked. They believed the enemy had discovered ways to erase free will. So the newly formed CIA poured $25 million into a secret program designed to do the same thing, only better. The code name was MKUltra. Its official purpose was to invent chemical and psychological weapons that could break a person and rebuild him as a tool. In truth, it became a decade-long laboratory of horror conducted on people who never agreed and often never even knew. The man who ran the machine was Sidney Gottlieb, a quiet chemist with a stutter and a taste for power. He reported to almost no one. His bosses preferred to stay in the dark. Gottlieb believed the mind could be wiped clean like a blackboard and then rewritten. The best eraser he found was a new drug called LSD. After it was first made in 1943, Gottlieb arranged for the CIA to buy every drop of LSD then known on Earth. When that was not enough, he paid the drug company Eli Lilly to manufacture still more. Through fake foundations, he shipped the chemical to hospitals, prisons, universities, and clinics. Doctors and researchers thought they were doing ordinary science. They had no idea the real customer was the CIA. The tests spread like a virus. Agency employees were slipped the drug at parties so others could watch them fall apart. Prisoners were offered shorter sentences if they swallowed pills they did not understand. Mental patients, already powerless, were turned into permanent test subjects. Ordinary people walking city streets were targeted simply because they were available. Consent was never asked. Knowledge was deliberately denied. One of the ugliest operations was called Midnight Climax. The CIA rented apartments in San Francisco and New York, installed two-way mirrors, and hired prostitutes. The women brought men back to the rooms. Once inside, the men were secretly dosed with LSD. Agents sat behind the glass and took notes on every moment of terror, confusion, and sex. The men left the next morning never knowing their private night had been a government experiment. Even darker work happened at the Allen Memorial Institute in Montreal under Dr. Yuan Cameron. Patients arrived with ordinary problems: asthma, face pain, sadness after childbirth, family arguments. They left permanently broken. Cameron's goal was to reduce a person to the mental state of a baby so he could rebuild the mind under his control. He called it de-patterning. Patients were forced into insulin comas that lasted weeks. While they slept, tape recordings played the same words over and over, sometimes 250,000 times, sometimes 500,000. One man heard, "Your mother hates you," whispered into his ear day and night. Others received electric shocks 40 to 75 times stronger than normal treatment. One patient endured 54 of those massive shocks and 54 full-body seizures. When he still asked to see his wife, the doctors simply put him back to sleep for another 30 days and shocked him again. A 16-year-old girl was locked in the same hospital by her own parents. She came out unable to remember who she was. A healthy young athlete who only wanted help with asthma, left with empty eyes and no idea who his daughters were. He lost his job. The family sank into poverty. Another man who once called his child the apple of his eye began beating her after the treatments.
He had said in his interview with the shrink that I was the apple of his eye. And after he came home, he started beating me not long after.
Decades later, some of those children still take heavy medication every day. None of them have ever received a real apology or meaningful payment. The program did not stop at adults. In at least one case, children were given Kool-Aid spiked with LSD and watched as the drug tore through their small minds. The agency treated every human being, man, woman, or child, as raw material. By the late 1960s, MKUltra had grown into roughly 160 separate projects scattered across more than 80 universities, hospitals, prisons, and research centers. Many of the institutions never knew the money came from the CIA. Front groups and fake foundations kept the truth buried. Then in 1973, just before he left office, CIA Director Richard Helms ordered every file destroyed. Most of the records were burned. Only about 8,000 pages of money papers survived by accident. Those scraps, together with the courage of survivors and a few whistleblowers, finally dragged the secret into the light. Senate hearings in the mid-1970s forced the CIA to admit the program existed. Officials said the tests made little scientific sense. The agents watching were not trained scientists. Many subjects became sick for days and simply vanished from the records. The agency claimed the work had produced almost nothing useful. Yet the damage was permanent. Only 14 people were ever officially told they had been used. Thousands more may never know. Lawsuits were filed. Almost nothing was paid. Children of the Montreal victims are still fighting in court today. The CIA knew it was breaking every moral, ethical, and legal rule on the books. They did it for military and political power, not for medicine or care. The full number of victims will never be known. The most sensitive files were deliberately erased. The people who lived through the experiments are growing fewer every year. What remains is a cold truth. A secret agency of a free country decided that the minds of its own citizens' patients, prisoners, children, ordinary strangers could be smashed and studied without their knowledge. The silence that followed cannot undo what was done. The broken minds cannot be made whole again, and the question still hangs in the air. How many more experiments remain hidden, waiting for the day the last burned page is found?